welcome to Talking Bollocks. My name's Howard H. Smith, and I'm the lead singer in Acid Rain. I also do stand-up comedy. Keith Platt. You can find me, you can find Acid Rain, you can find Keith Platt, you can find this goddamn podcast anywhere you like on social media. Go look for it. Bollocks is spelt with an S, not a Z. So, how you doing? What have you been up to? Nothing? Yep. Pretty much same here, actually. Yeah, it is one of those things, isn't it? It's one of those times. We are in lockdown. We don't have a great deal to talk about, do we? But stuff's been happening. Things been going on. I've had a pretty shitty time. Someone came into my life and out again just as quickly, which was a bit of a shame. Wish it just hadn't happened at all now, to be honest. Wish they'd never appeared in my life. But these things fucking happen, don't they? Even in lockdown. And all sorts of happening in the world of metal. What's been happening in the world of metal, eh? What has been happening? Well, you know, there's a few collaborations going on. I spoke about this before on the last podcast. And some of them quite interesting, and some of them you just think, oh, fucking hell, that's all right, leave it alone. But Charlie Benante and John Bush, I nearly said George Bush, fuck me. Charlie Benante and John Bush doing tunes from the Bush era of Anthrax is fucking awesome. Awesome. Really very cool. And what else we got? Faith No More rescheduled their European tour for spring/summer 2021. So, yeah, clearly an indication there as to when they think everything is actually going to be back to normal. What else has been going on? There's all sorts of stuff going on. Vinny Appice or a piece, or however it's pronounced, I never kind of really know. Slagging off the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for not having Ronnie in it, and I completely agree. That is just fucking insanity, basically. I'm really not sure. I mean, okay, maybe I'm biased because he was a huge influence on me, but he should be in there. You know, put it this way: what should exist? Ronnie Dio in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or a live hologram of Ronnie Dio? It's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, isn't it? Yeah, obviously. So what else? Oh yeah, Mushroomhead got a new song. Listen to the new Mushroomhead song, The Heresy. I did. Not going to listen again. There we go. Never mind. It was all right. But you know, it is what it is, I guess. There's not a great deal. There's not. They do consistently change, but yeah, it just all sounds a bit. I don't know, like I've heard it all before. Anyway, I'm sure, you know, there's very few people actually give a shit. Anyway, speaking of Dio again, Rowan Robertson, remember him? The guitarist that came into Dio after Craig Goldie, because of course you've got oh fucking hell, Vivian Campbell, yeah. Then you've got Craig Goldie, and then you've got the name of the one that no one knows the name of. A little bit of a bad news joke there for you. And it's Rowan Robertson. So yeah, he's been doing instructional videos on how to play Dio songs that no one cares about. But it's a bit harsh, but fuck it. And apparently we've got Exodus and Overkill members join forces for quarantine of Megadeth's Wake Up Dead. So yeah, I haven't actually. Oh fuck me, it was Jason Bittner as well. Jesus Christ. Oh, wow, I know he said he was going to be doing stuff. I didn't realise it was this. I've completely missed this. I've just seen the story now. Right, hang on a second. I've got to go and check this shit out. Actually, let's do this live. And, yeah, here we go. Go on, Zet. Yeah, not bad. But it is still like, you know, four guys in just separate windows playing a tune. Bittner's pounding, fucking awesome. Zet gives it his own inimitable style. Cool. Yeah, okay. Well, it's more of a playthrough than a cover version, because there's obviously no kind of original twist to it. But hey, all in all, the world is a better place for that existing than not existing. That's my review. Cop out or not, you decide. It's poor old Coverdale as well. David Coverdale has had to reduce the price of his mansion. Poor Ben. He's had to reduce the price of his massive mansion. I'm sure he'll do all right. I'm sure he's not struggling paying his bills in lockdown. And hopefully the rest of you are not struggling. I've got some money coming in from the government, and it's a full-on grand less than my accountant said it was going to be. And so it's not great. I'm expecting the kick in the teeth. Still got to pay tax and national insurance on it, though, so it's not even the amount that lands in your account. But, this is what is fucking going on in everyone's lives at the moment. I'm well aware I'm not special, and that we've all got our various bits and things to hang on to at the moment. And the world of music, I'm rediscovering shit. I don't know about you guys. I've taken to putting my phone on shuffle. And just like listening to, and it's throwing in loads of stuff that I haven't heard for years. I did a whole Billy Talent playlist the other day, which was fucking awesome. When we're, because there's nothing to do but exercise. So when we do get a chance to exercise, I'm sticking it on shuffle now and getting around and listening to some of the old stuff as well. Which just is so cool. Speaking of which, good Lord. Can't believe. Look, all I've got to say is my best mate got my birthday present for me this year, and it was the DVD of Murder in the Front Row. Oh yes, when only the music mattered, it said. What a fucking movie! Absolutely superb. Absolutely loved it. I could recommend that to anyone. It's a fascinating story of the Bay Area, of how it all started, and the one thing that really comes across in it is just how influential Metallica were. They were just that little bit, just ahead of the competition. They were always just in front. They were, and which means that they were the trailblazers. I know I'm not saying anything everybody didn't already know, but it's amazing to go back all those years, 35, 40 years, and go back and see how they were at the centre of everything. And all of the other people, like, it doesn't matter whether they're in, a Big Four band or an Original Six or whatever you want to call them, whatever band they're from, every single one of them goes, yeah, but, Metallica were doing this, and then, yeah, but Metallica were doing that. And then, well, because Metallica did this, we got to, and it's just, you forget, you get wrapped up in the Metallica we've got now, the sort of mid-tempo granddad metal machine that, family that lurches across the world playing massive shows, and you just forget. And the one really cool thing about this documentary is, it's all about the absolute, the fucking hardcore, the absolute beating heart of the scene. Every single member of Metallica is in that documentary. And it's not a Metallica project, but they're all there, all paying their dues, all, thanking everybody. And in James's case, looking genuinely excited and enthused, like talking about those old days as well. They were all, they were all there. It was just really, really, really cool. Some lovely pictures of Debbie Bono as well, who I knew very well. Back in the day, and it was lovely to see those. And I'm gushing, I really am. But Murder in the Front Row, that is, that is a metal movie and a half, and I'm really not sure if it's streaming anywhere, to be honest. I know Plastic Head or Plastic Head Megastore, if you want to go and have a look. They're doing the UK release of Murder in the Front Row. But as for anything else, streaming or anything like that, I genuinely don't know. I'm sure it will come. Oh, excuse me. Fucking hell. That's this podcast for you. If you want things like that, editing out, go somewhere else. But yeah, it's a fucking beautiful, almost historical documenting an incredible time in music where, a genre was born that would then sprout off so many different ways. It's untrue. Just a really good watch. I absolutely loved it. I think you're picking up on the fact that I quite liked it. And speaking of which, I am pressing on with getting more podcast guests to do the movie podcast as well. So, we're going to have a very well-known metal artist who's going to be doing that with me again soon. Going to be getting all of these out to you as soon as possible. Just constantly getting shit out to you. Anyway, look, let's have a interview rather than a 20-minute boring rant about coronavirus like I did a few weeks ago. So, guys, here we go. First interview up. Now, I'm sure some of you out there remember Mekong Delta from first time round. I know I do. And as soon as I saw them on my interview list, I thought I would really, really like to speak to them. So, after a few emails, managed to set up a call with Ralf and have a chat about Mekong Delta, the present and the past, and what potentially the future can hold. So here's Ralf and I having a chat a couple of days ago.
Oh, hello.
Hello, is that Ralf?
Hi, I just checked with my girlfriend, but I sent it you the right number. She got it in her phone.
It was an error on my end. For some reason, there was a missing digit, a missing number copying over into my phone. So I spotted it, added the 1 in the middle, and here we are.
Okay.
So how are you doing? How are you surviving the current situation?
The current situation, it's not too hard over here because I did not live in a city, so it's more outside, it's more countryside, and here over here there's nothing with corona. We got, I think, in the whole area we got about 100 persons who are infected, and this is really a small number. We got nearly 400,000 people here, and so in the whole area, and I know you're getting a hard time at the moment, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I'm in London, and
I see.
So yeah, it's not great. But having said that, they have slackened off the lockdown a bit, so we're okay.
And at least I didn't press the panic button because the deal is that I'm interested in things like that, like Candlemasses and like quantum physics and all this stuff. So everybody who read something about this in the past in books knows that this would happen one time. It's only a question when, so I was not surprised. Well, so I remember this movie. I don't know, this Outbreak?
As well as Outbreak and Contagion as well.
Yeah, Contagion is much better, at least, because it's more realistic. But Outbreak was the first time I was confronted with this. And after that, I got a quite big interest and get several books. And one was the upcoming Plagues. It's dealing with the work of the CDC and all this stuff, and it was quite interesting. And from that on, I know that this would happen one day.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been saying it for 10 years that we're due a pandemic. I mean, it's you look back throughout history, and there's clear evidence that they come around. And it'd been so long since we'd had one that statistically it kind of had to happen, really. Yeah,
I think the real last big one were in 1920, and then we got one in 1958 and 1969.
The Spanish flu one was the worst.
Yeah, right, and there was an avian flu in 58, I think, or 69.
The Spanish flu that was 100 years ago focused in on the ages that were at risk were between 25 and 40. And it killed 40 million people. And funnily enough, it wasn't Spanish in any way. It was started in the US.
I know, but it started at an army camp, as far as I remember. Because I read once a book where there was a study which was deep inside where it really happened first time. I think it was a pig flu. Is it right? Can I say pig flu?
I think swine flu is what we called it. Swine flu, but pig flu is great. That's nice. That's a nice German way of saying it.
Yeah, it's the pig flu, and it was not recognized first, and then it came over to an army camp and was spread from there on. But I didn't really remember. It's about 10 years ago or something like that. I read this.
Yeah. That's pandemics and the current situation covered. It's not all bad news. There's a new Mekong Delta album for the first time in 6 years. It's a nice surprise. I wasn't expecting that. It's obviously been in the works for a long time. When did you first start out on this?
When I started working was quite a long time ago, because working on an album for Mekong Delta is all the time a real job. It cost me years, and it cost me ages of energy all the time, because if I finished the last one, Into a Mirror Darkly, I started first to come back to the idea I got, this novella all the time, try to make tonal. This one is a novel, Into the Heart of Darkness, and I spent 2 years with that, and it didn't work. But then I got a lot of good riffs, which I like very much, and so I said, maybe you should put away the idea to go to this Into the Heart of Darkness. Maybe you should work with riffs yet and make something new and try what came out with that. And at least it starts, and I need about 1 year to put all the songs together. You have to know, I write everything by myself. That means that at least the people, the musicians who work with me, got final arrangements without solos and without drums. Drummer got only an orientation, and solos, okay, well, I cannot play solos, I'm unable. I can play solo on bass or classical guitar, but not on e-guitar. And when I start, it's mostly that way, that I got a riff, and if I like it, and got another riff, and things that they correspond together, I try a bit more how it works for me after a while. And if I still like it after 2 weeks, I say, there must be something more. And then came the great thing, because about, I think, 10 years ago, I started to make a pool. A riff could, two things can happen to a riff over a year. First, it's thrown into trash, or it's good enough, but no song, and I put it into the pool. So if I got 2 or 3 riffs which I like and which work together, I got a real big pool, which is 10 years old, where I can pick out something that maybe could fit and could continue.
I know what you mean. We have a riff bank. I mean, I should mention this actually. I sing in a UK thrash band called Acid Rain, and I've been doing stand up for 25 years in between bringing the band back in 2015. So I know exactly what. Sorry, I should have said that all at the beginning. But we were too fascinated by technology at the time.
Technology is a fine thing nowadays.
Absolutely. Well, it very much comes into the play when writing. So I was saying exactly what you have. We have a riff bank that we go to, where and it's a case of you go to the riff bank and you either make a deposit or you make a withdrawal.
The thing at least is you can store as much as possible. That's the fine thing. You got a good idea and just, and you can play it, or if you want, you can do it with a library, where the instrument is simulated. If you didn't get an instrument by hand, because I'm mostly composing in my head, and then go to the instrument, and if I got the idea in my head, I also could put on the computer. Okay, the computer is on the whole day. I switch to the composing program then, and just write it down. It's fantastic if I compare that to the situation we got 20 years ago. Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we had basically nothing like that. I mean, it has. Funnily, I did an interview today, and I was asked how has the writing changed over the years, and it's like, like everything, the internet got invented and everything changed.
Yeah, without the internet, we couldn't work in any way, because all the musicians I work with, are top musicians, and they are mostly not in Germany, because Alex, for example, he lived in London for a while, I think for 5 or 6 years. The drummer, Alex Langenburg, lives in London for quite a long time. Peter lives in Sweden. And the singer Martin is in Germany, but 500, 600 kilometers far away. So for us, it's normal since, I think, we started with that on the Lurking Fair album. We started with that I simply sent them the notation with and the bass MPEG file so that they could put on their things, and that I can then decide whether I can use it or not. So we are quite used to that, and we get it quite good nowadays with that.
Yeah, I mean, like yourself, we're spread all over, not in different actually in some different countries, but I know exactly what you mean when you're.
Sorry to interrupt. Alex was in LA while he was drumming the album.
Oh right.
Yeah, and Pete actually was in Sweden while he played his guitars. Right.
Okay. So were they? So did they basically? Did you send out? Plans for them to record too, and they recorded all their bits and then sent it back into you?
Yeah, I sent them. Normally they can get what they want. Alex asked mostly for a MIDI version, for an idea what I would like to have there, and then he goes to his electronic drum set, which he got all the time with him, and tries to get something out of the ideas. I send it him, and then he make an arrangement. Peter mostly only asked for the MIDI files, and then he studied it on the guitar, and then say this is playable, this is not playable, and send it me over the real guitar then. It's a quite nice way of working.
Yeah, and it's kind of like you're kind of like this chef who's just sort of popping all these ingredients into the final meal, and getting your bits and pieces from everybody and their suggestions and their parts.
Yeah, but you have to see, this is a real, as mentioned before, it's a real long process. After for example, if I go directly to this album, it cost me about 1 year to make the basic arrangement of all songs before I sent out the first things to the musicians. You know, it was 1 year of really hard work, and if I start working on an album, I mostly really work between 10 and 14 hours a day on it.
Wow. So it's that explains the 6-year gap between albums, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it's getting harder because especially this one, then we need 1 year to make the arrangement. That way it's not only that I say you don't play that. We have to find something what we all like, at least. Okay, nobody would say to me this riff must be played different. And I never would do, or we can't use this riff. We only can say, this riff is not playable. No one would say me, for example, I should change the bass. And if I send Peter a riff, I would never say to him, play it different. Because I know he knows what he has to play that, because he's an electric guitar player. I'm not. And the result is all the time fascinating for me. If you hear it before and then I got his real guitar, it's all the time blowing me away. But it cost 1 year to really get deep into the stuff with the whole group, and after that we start recording. Not direct recording. It's mostly that way. That then, if everything is clear and everybody say, "Okay, I like it," then we go to the point where everybody is rehearsing that a lot, because saying this is okay and then play it are two different pairs of shoes, you know.
Yeah.
And after then everybody feels fit in the material. Then we start recording. And that was, I think, after 2.5 years this time. And while they are going to the point that they rehearse it, my bass is mostly already finished, because I worked with the stuff already 2.5 years. I should be able to play it then. So they get the final bass as a bass. A bass as a bass. How should I say it? Yeah, they got the bass as a bass.
Yes. They've got the basis of what they're going to be working on.
Yeah, right. And mostly I got the guitars first, and Alex is coming after that. And that's the hard point. Sometimes we only we decide that the tempo is not fast enough after we hear the drum. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely,
and that could lead into terrible problems.
Oh, yeah.
Because the mental entropy of the first song on the album is a funny thing. Because we decide, oh no, we have to play the second riff much faster. And Peter and I said, yeah, okay, let's do that. And we put on, I think, 25 beats. And we say, yes, we will do that till tomorrow, Alex. Then we will get a new file for drums. And then we noticed what we have said. We were unable to play it. It cost me 2 weeks to prepare myself to play 25 beats faster. This is such a horrible riff. I called myself an idiot. How could you idiot write this thing? It was incredible. But finally it works. But Coast was one of the riffs which takes the most time on this album. The second one, this downwards theme, which goes up downwards.
Well, I think listening to this, anyone who's familiar with your music will be. I guess it won't be a massive surprise that there's so much work and that it's so in depth, because the final result is is spectacular. I mean, you must be pleased with the new album, I would have thought.
Yeah, that is mostly the problem. You nowadays are in a situation that a lot of groups repeat themselves each year with the same songs. I don't like that, because they play it in a small, various way. But at least it's mostly the same. And they just do it for the pressure that they have to be in the media. I don't like that. I only open my mouth if I have something to say.
Yeah.
Musically. Before that, I keep calm and...
Well, you're talking to somebody who has a 29-year gap between the second album and the third album. So yeah, I definitely kept quiet because I had nothing to say for 29 years.
Yeah, that's the right way. Everybody is asking me, why don't you make every day something new, or every week, or say something? I got so many requests. I say, I don't have to say something. What should I say? Every good music takes a long time, and the more complex the music gets, the more time it needs. And this one was really, especially for the orchestral ones, this was real hard work. To give you an example, I take because I laughed about the technique short before. The new record as the highest point, you know what I mean? Not recording, the record, was that I need for When All Hope Is Gone. At the highest tutti part with all instruments, we got over 200 tracks.
Wow.
And this, especially this When All Hope Is Gone, takes, because I use a big orchestra. You can make various variations. A small orchestra is 40 people, a mid orchestra is 60, and I take for this one, I take 120 people orchestra. It's a big one, normally used for Shostakovich, for Wagner, or for whatever. And to write all this down and then make it sounding real with a computer, because it's simulation, that cost me ages.
Well, I can tell you now that one of the things I wanted to bring up about the album was the use of strings and classical instruments. And you've made it, honestly, it sits in there beautifully. It really does. I was going to bring it up because I think it's an outstanding part of the album.
Yeah.
It's great work.
Thanks for that. I only, for me, if an album is ready, I forgot it for a time. At the moment I didn't listen to it. Because if you work 4 years on something, you need a big break. I know from all my other musicians that say it's a fantastic album. That's enough for me at the moment. I think I need 1 more month to listen to it again.
Yeah, I know what you mean. You need to get some distance from it, because when you're working on something, you remember all the little glitches and things that you're maybe not quite happy with, but you let go anyway, and there's all that. And if you keep listening to it, that's all you hear. So I know what you mean. You have to stop, not listen to it, and then come back to it because you've forgotten all those little things.
For mixing, for example, the normal group songs I can listen to at the moment, but the orchestral songs I really cannot listen to because, especially this one which we mentioned before, this one All Hope Is Gone. I mixed 2 months every day, about 14 hours on this.
Wow.
Because a lot of people say you are crazy, but every time they got a new version, they say, hey, that's sounding even more fantastic. It sounds more real. I say, yeah, but every small thing you change, if you work together with brass and woodwinds, especially on a library, in a computer, is so much work. In the past, I thought all the time it would be much faster to work with a library. Nowadays, I'm on the point that it is faster and would cost less from your nerves if you work with a real orchestra. But the big orchestra, I cannot pay.
It's hiring an orchestra is a very expensive endeavour.
I tried this, but there's one thing which I'm all the time wondering about is you got a lot of groups working with semi-professional orchestras, I say. Let me say it this way, semi-professional, even if they're quite good. And I was in contact with two ones, and I told them, hey, listen, this is not the stuff you have to play before, because normally you just make a kind of accompaniment of your group and make some here and a little bit there. I say, this is real orchestral work, and I send it to us, and I send them the package, and I really got the answer, hey, we have to rehearse it for 2 months at least. They were totally surprised.
Right, yeah.
And then the conductor told me, hey, it will be something about 40, 50 or 60,000 this time. I said, okay, forget it, goodbye. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
If you just like to make something which an orchestra is playing together with you, that's easy. But to make something which got an orchestra integrated, this is quite complicated.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I remember when your first album came out, and the goal, the aim, the mantra, the mission of the band always seemed to be to kind of push the limits of what you could do, how with the technical aspects of it. If you like, really early sort of math metal / gent and stuff like that. Those genres have grown out of the progressive stuff that you and other bands like Blind Delusion, etc., were putting out at the time. Yeah,
right. That's right. It was a base stock for new experiments, but it takes time because I remember the time it starts in the 87, 86. The metal scene in Germany really grows. I remember that the ability of playing a musical instrument was not too good on most of the musicians. I remember it very fast because on a lot of albums I was an engineer, and it was for me, oh my God, it was horrible. And I think about around 2000, the technical ability of the musicians on the instruments grows much higher. I noticed that mostly on drummers. I remember the last thing I played together with Peter Haas, the drummer out of Switzerland. He showed me some things on drums which say, wow, this is incredible. And I think the standard of double bass you have to be able to play was something about 200, or something like that, if I remember right. And then 10 years later, as I worked together with Uli Kusch for the Lurking Fear, he sent me his drum licks, the recorded drum thing, and I noticed that there was something incredible on the double bass. He said, yeah, this is the 200, but I play some triplets, and they grow up to 240 or something like that. He said, how did you play that? And he explained to me, and now Alex told me that the standard of a real good drum player is double bass about 260. And he shows me, he can play this, and he shows me the techniques of it. Incredible.
Yeah. It is kind of nuts what drummers are doing these days.
Yeah, 260, my God. It's like a machine gun.
but also there's there's the other adage, which is, don't put it on the album if you can't do it live.
Yeah, but Alex, everything Alex is playing on albums, he'll try and do it live.
Oh yeah, yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, mostly he did a video. If he finds the time, if somebody say, "Hey, this is programmed" or something, and we never answer to these things, because I noticed that a lot of people who are unable on their own instruments came to the point to say, that can't be played, and we didn't answer that. But the only thing we do is to make a video where he plays this.
Well,
put it on YouTube.
Exactly. But what you've got there is a prime example of what you experience in social media, where somebody uses only their knowledge of something to think that they know all of what is possible, and therefore try and call it out as being programmed. And it's in a similar way. It reminds me of the kind of comment that you get. Being a comedian, you always get people ask. You always get people if you do a really good heckle put down or something like that. People say were they a plant? Was that person in the audience in on it? And it's like, no, of course they weren't. But it's just, it was so quick and so funny. You can't get your head around it because there's no way you could ever be that quick or funny.
Yeah, right. What you mentioned is quite right. Their small knowledge, they think their small knowledge is the world.
Yes.
And we didn't get this problem only in music.
Yeah.
In my opinion, this problem grows in our whole society.
Oh, without a doubt. And well, funnily enough, the title of our album that we put out at the end of last year was called "The Age of Entitlement." So,
good.
So yeah, I think we might be on the same page here, Ralf.
Yeah, I think so too.
Have you got any plans? Have you got any plans to be able to get on the road? Because I would imagine that actually writing this stuff takes up so much time. Are you going to be able to play any live shows, around this?
It was really, I think, for the live side, Mekong Delta all the time got bad luck.
Yeah.
The problem is we got a lot of offers. We really got a lot of offers, and sometimes you are able to do it. The greatest problem is that Alex is mostly on tour. Yeah, he plays with a lot of well-known groups, and this time, so we only can play sometimes bigger festivals, which are announced half a year before. Then, if that works, then he can say, okay, I can make my time there, and so we got a standard repertoire of 20 songs which you can play everywhere, and then go over there. But this time it was the first time in that way I would like to have it. We got about 15 shows throughout Europe, in Romania, in Poland, everywhere,
Yeah.
And even Spain, fantastic. And they were right as I like it, in 1 month. Because what I don't like is playing there and then play 1 month later there and then 2 months later there.
Yeah.
The stuff is too complicated to rehearse it for only one show. You can do it once, but if you have to do it all 3 months, because sure, we know the songs, and sure, we play them very often, not the new ones. I mean, it's our standard pool.
Yeah.
But anyhow, you have to play it sometimes before. And so I all the time say, if you are able, make a tour with several dates, one after each other. And this was okay. So what happened? This little piece of RNA or DNA came up, and everything is cancelled now.
Yeah. It wasn't the best question I've ever asked, obviously, because we've obviously, I mean, I had to cancel a tour myself, so I know exactly what you mean. It's such at least, there were plans. I'm gonna take the positive out of that, because, hopefully no one knows what's going to happen or when we're going to get to the end of this. It's a real, It's a real mystery. But look, the new album's great. Absolutely love it. It's great to have Mekong Delta back. Shame we can't have any shows, but we can't have shows from anyone at the moment. Such is life. But I mean, it's just great to have it back, and I want to congratulate you on all of your work on the production, because it has paid off. And also, the one thing that I always ascribe to Mekong Delta is it sounds like no one else, including the production. The production has a unique sound to it. It's not just the same old Pro Tooled metal album. It sounds fucking great. You've done a wonderful job.
Thanks for that.
That's all right, Ralf.
Okay, maybe we can stand in contact a bit with mails, because if I'm over in England, maybe we can see once.
Yeah.
Play there.
Oh, brilliant. Well, I hope so, mate. I hope so. I've got your number now, so be warned.
Yeah, no problem.
But
no problem. I got your mail, I saw your mail, and it was nice to talk to you, man.
Yeah, and you, mate. And look, what's your what label is the album out on?
This is on Butter Records. This is a long story. Normally I don't talk about this. Just let me say, I worked with a sub-company of this big concern. Do we say concern in English? No. With this real big company, I worked with a sub-company, and the big company asked, if I would like to do this with them, and I said yes, because they got a real big department for international promotion.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad it's worked out that way, because you deserve every success.
Okay.
The album is called, quite cryptically, Tales of a Future Past. So that's that could have been made for this. Look, it's been great to talk to you, Ralf. Thank you so much for your time.
You are welcome. Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye. And that was a really nice, cool chat with Ralf, and what a window into a world of a band and how things change from artist to artist. I mean, I thought it was complicated putting our album together, but Jesus Christ, that is just the effort. And for those of you wondering why there hasn't been more Mekong Delta albums over the years, I think you know why now, don't you? That's a hell of a lot of work that goes into every single stage of every single song on every single album. It's just phenomenal. It really is. It really is. So look, a few viewing tips, because I'm not going to keep those on there, because I just kind of feel like we're all sort of wanting something to watch. So at the moment, I would still say Southland. If you Google the word Southland, you'll usually get Southland Tales, but Southland you will find is free on quite a few streaming services. Once you get up to a certain number of series, you start to have to pay for them now, or you can search around on the net and you will find them streaming for free. Excellent TV series, really good, gripping cop stuff. It's one of the great cop shows. Honestly, it is one of the great cop shows. It just never took off over here. 5 seasons of it in the States, absolutely superb. But it is right up there with all of the cop shows. Honestly, it's definitely worth checking out. Please do. The other thing is, I think I've mentioned before, the Mike Judge presents Tales from the Tour Bus. If you've got Sky, you can find that. Google it, just Mike Judge Tales from the Tour Bus. No metal stories, but who gives a shit? Just fucking amazing stories of amazing musicians back in the day when really, basically, well, all of the stories involve a lot of drugs, usually. People being utterly clueless. But it is fucking brilliant all the same. And I really, really would check that out. Musically, needless to say, Quadra Sepultura is still fucking kicking my ass. I've rediscovered Defiance, the Prophecy. That's something that's it's just reminded me how good it is the other day. I'm listening to some unreleased stuff as well. Just a few little bits and pieces there. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. But it's there's all sorts out there. And I'm just wondering if there's anybody that I've left out, because there is some serious stuff coming out at the moment. And you want to be across as much of it as possible, because I don't know about anyone else, but yeah, discovering the old stuff is great and all the rest of it, but it would be nice to have some proper new tunes to look forward to by someone. So I just paused the mic there, and I've got an ice cream van round the corner, and as soon as I started recording to get the ice cream van's tune on the podcast, that fucker switched it off. But anyway, let's crack on for the let's crack on into the next interview, and I'll see what I can give you as music tips, if you give a shit. That is, I mean, fuck it, who cares? that's my Corona motto right there. Anyway, fucking hell, this is taking forever. Let's get the final interview on now. Those of you that are listeners of the podcast will know that I loved the most recent Candlemass album, which is just fucking awesome. It's amazing, and it's the return of vocalist Johan Langqvist. And so, what did I decide to do? When I saw his name on the list, I thought, awesome. One of my favourite albums, one of my, definitely, in my all-time favourite bands, purely because of the album Nightfall, which is absolutely fucking amazing. So I thought, right, it's time to get this man on. So, ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome to the show, spoken him to, it was a few weeks ago now, actually, Candlemass vocalist, Johan Langqvist.
Hello?
Hi, is that Johan?
Yeah, hi.
Hello there.
I was in the car, actually, driving home from work. So.
Right. Okay.
That's why I needed another minute. I'm sorry for that, but now I'm inside my home, so I'm okay, right?
No problem. So you're still allowed out to work then?
Yeah, actually, most of the people are here in Sweden, but if you sneeze or something like that, then you have to go home straight ahead.
Yeah, well, we're I think we're about a kind of 2 weeks into not being allowed to do anything at the moment.
Yeah, I heard so. I was talking to someone the other day from England, actually, and he told me so. 2 weeks of lockout.
Yeah, with much more to come by the looks of it. It's a strange time.
Yeah, very strange. And we don't know what is happening here in Sweden either. But so far, we're allowed to go to work as long as we're not sneezing and things like that.
Well, I hope it stays that way. I hope it doesn't get any worse.
No, me too.
Well, we've got a little bit in common actually, because I sing in a UK thrash metal band called Acid Rain.
Okay.
And we were around back in the day, and then we had like a hiatus of 20 odd years, and then we just put our first album out for 29 years in September.
Okay, awesome. Huh?
So I know the feeling of fronting a band after having a long time away.
Okay. Was the name Acid Rain? Was that right?
Yeah, that's right. In fact, funnily enough, we toured. I've got a poster in my front room here. We toured with Nuclear Assault, Candlemass, and Dark Angel across Europe in '89.
Okay, awesome. With then it was Messiah singing, right?
It was, yes. I had to help him. I had to help him tighten his monk's habit robe every night.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't ask.
I won't.
Look, I apologise in advance for asking some of these questions, which I'm sure you're A, sick of, and B, have answered a ton of times before.
No problem. No problem at all. Just shoot and ask whatever you want to.
Okay, great. Well, look, first off, The Door to Doom was one of my albums of the year. Just an absolute phenomenal return. And all topped off by your performance as well. And I couldn't help but think, as a fellow singer, listening to your performance, I couldn't help but think, yeah, you have carried on singing. So because that's not the performance of somebody who took 30 years off from singing. So
No. Actually, I've been into music more or less all of my life, and I've been writing songs all of my life. And I've done, a couple of gigs with Candlemass and some other bands too, but not on a regular basis. So I've been into music all the time. So that's true.
And was there any singing involved in that? Were you actually sort of performing with bands?
No, yeah, a couple of couple of guys asked me, can you come over and do this, let's say in a church, at weddings, and with my small band somewhere, but not on a regular basis the way we're doing now with Candlemass. But I've been doing things, at least one or two performances a year, but it could have been at a wedding or acoustic with just a friend on a acoustic guitar or something like that. So I have been into music.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's when it's a love, isn't it? It doesn't go away. If you just don't happen to be in a band that moment.
I will always be involved in music in one way or another. It's just it's a part of me, and you know what it's like. It's just the way it is. If you don't make any money, it doesn't matter as long as you can get your food on your table. But it's about love and passion.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about. I mean, it's about the. Let's face it. It's not about the money.
No, definitely not. I can tell.
Yeah. I mean, it's when first time round with the band. Did you get to do much touring and stuff like that?
Yeah, within this a year and a half, we've done pretty. Yeah, I don't know exactly, but I don't know, 30 gigs or something like that. So we've done, for being a band like us, I think we've done a couple of gigs, yeah.
Right, okay. And what about when you were in the band the first time around? Was there anything happening, live-wise?
No, actually not. I don't know if you've heard the story too, but I had my own band at that very time. So the deal I had with Candlemass at that time was that I'm okay, and I would love to sing with you guys and do the album with you, but I can't leave my own project. I had my very own project at that time, and I was had so much faith and belief in that. So we had a serious discussion about it, and they understood me, and they called me up a couple of days later or something like that, and they said, well, Johan, we understand you, but we want you to sing on the album anyway, and so I did. So I didn't perform at that time in the band at all, actually.
Right. Okay. So this is a completely new experience for you.
Yeah, kind of. I've done Epicus since 2007. I don't know, 1 year and then a year off, and then I don't know all the years when I did that with them, but at least since 2007, I've been doing Epicus a couple of times.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've sort of come sort of dipped in and dipped out. How did the actual let's come on and do this, full time? How did that happen? Was that an approach from Leaf, or how did it come about?
No, actually, it was Mappe. He called me up and asked me what I would say about being a full-time member of Candlemass, and I said, yeah, definitely. It's the perfect time for me now. You know, I have 4 kids and 7 grandchildren, but they're all grown-ups now, my kids, so it's the perfect time and I can do whatever I want. And I said, yes, but if I do this now, it has to be 100% from my point of view. And he agreed, of course. And we went to the studio actually the day after, and I heard the songs for the first time. And you like the album. And so when I heard the songs, I said, yeah, can we start recording them right away? And so we did, actually.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, and that must have been such a unique experience as well, you know, just all coming from kind of one phone call out the blue, and the timing was perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I helped them out once or twice during the years, doing some demos and things like that when they were looking for another singer. I think it was before they found Thomas Wikström, and but at this time now, everything felt so right, and I still like every minute of it. I can tell.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah. The album itself, I mean, there's just huge riffs on it. I mean, I think I must have had the same feeling listening to it, like the completed version, that you must have had when you heard the songs, which is like, just let me at them, you know. I want to get my voice on those.
Yeah. I felt about that, like that right away, and just can you get me in? Can give me a microphone, and I want to walk into the music, and I did it right away. So felt.
And was the EP? Are they all songs that were left over from the album?
Yeah, actually, I didn't know that till a couple of months after the album was done, that there were more songs. So that was pretty new to me when someone asked me if you're going to do the other songs too. So I didn't know there were any leftovers at all in the very beginning. But then I heard them, and the next EP came out.
And what was it like being back in the studio with those guys as well? I mean, you know, it was all nice, because we all know how fractious the studio can get.
Yeah, but you know, Marcus Gidell, he's boss of the recording, and I actually know him since before. We've actually done a couple of gigs together during the years, so I'm very comfortable with Marcus, and he's very good to work with. And Leif sometimes shows up, and we're, you know, playing around with the lines and things like that. So we're having a really good time. And the big difference, if you compare to the very beginning in the 80s, you know, you can take a line or two, and then you can stop, and then it's easier to record these days.
Yeah, much easier.
Yeah. I don't know exactly how we did Epicus, actually, but I think you had to at least sing long parts before you could stop and then do the next one. You know, there were tapes at that time, so that's a big difference. But I think it's just, what do you say, rational to record that way. So you know, you can catch a song with a good spirit, and then you do one mistake, and then you had to take it all over from the beginning again. but that's not necessary these days. So it's a very rational way to work, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I've found it's the cut and paste is incredibly useful, especially for things like choruses where you've got a brilliant, you've absolutely nailed a chorus, and you can save your voice. You can save your voice by just moving it across. But I'll always try and kind of at least change one line in each chorus just to give them that that natural feeling.
Yeah, actually, we never repeat the chorus. For example, we want it to sound as natural as possible. So there is always one take on the chorus, the first one, and then a new one on the second one, and then a new one if there is a third chorus too. So we don't repeat. Maybe you can repeat, of course, the choirs behind it all, but the lead vocals there is always a final take for that very chorus. But even though you sing it about the same, but there could be small differences that makes it,
Yeah, absolutely. Because I just think it's important that you can't just have these cookie cutter choruses that are exactly the same, using exactly the same take.
No.
and I think also listeners are not aware of the fact that they would notice if we did that. Because do you know what I mean? It's kind of like it's almost like there's a part of your brain going, "There's something not right here."
Yeah. I understand what you're talking about, and I don't know about all the listeners, but I think the majority wouldn't hear the difference, maybe.
Yeah. And by the sounds of it, are you quite collaborative in the studio as well? As in, you're open to ideas and trying things.
Yeah.
And,
Of course. The main thing for me is that to feel comfortable with the way I do the song. And in the very first place, I have to find myself in to the music. And when I'm there, I'm in. Then we can try out different kind of moods or change a note somewhere or whatever. It's fun to do that, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I can get lost. I can get very much kind of lost in the tracking experience because I find myself kind of focusing so much on it. I kind of almost forget to enjoy it.
Okay. I can sometimes sing something and then, wow, that was good, Marcus, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Can you do it one more time? He says. And then, my God, I lost it. Don't worry, he says, because I've already recorded it. So that's a very good thing about Marcus, because he's recording when you're playing around. And sometimes he said, I took that one. It was awesome. So
the old trick of saying, I'm not recording this, just have a run through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they think that you're all nice and relaxed, and then they go, yeah, I was recording actually, and that was brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's that it's that mental thing, isn't it? The pressure's off, and you're free to just try stuff.
Yeah, could be. I'm not that nervous, but in some way, yes, absolutely. When the button is pushed, and do it. Or when you're playing around, did you record that? Yes, I did. Did you record that? No, I didn't. Can we do it one more time? Things like that. So it's a very relaxed way of doing the recordings with Mats and with Marcus and Leif around. So we're having a good time, all of us.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And being back with the band, I mean, you came back in 2018, and you see you've done about 30 shows since then.
Yeah, I think so. Around there somewhere. Yeah.
Obviously, been covering. Have you managed to get to the States yet in that time?
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Have you managed to get to the States yet in that time?
Stage year.
Sorry, USA. Have you managed to get to the USA?
Yeah. Not playing there, but we were just about to go to the US.
Oh.
We've been working with this visa stuff, and they were all set and done, and then this Corona thing happened. So we were actually about to be there. I think it was in this month, actually, in the end of this month or something like that.
So
we
this could not.
We haven't been there. We've been doing, the 70,000 tons of metal, so we just passed through there, and we stayed a day or two in Miami, but never actually playing for the U.S. audience yet.
Ah, right. Okay. Well, funnily enough, I've just remembered. We were supposed to be playing a show with you in Dublin on May the 2nd.
Yeah, that's right. But that one's cancelled too, right?
Yeah. Well, it's. I think they've rescheduled it to a September date, but unfortunately, we're the only band who can't make it.
Okay, that's sad. Would have been a great time to meet each other.
Yeah, I know, and I'd love to have seen Leaf again after all these years.
Yeah. It's actually pretty good right now. He's been bad for a couple of years. I don't know if you know.
Yes, I did hear that he wasn't well.
Yeah, but now he's been with us for 1.5 years and every single gig, so he's done very well, and I think he's pretty happy for the moment on what happened.
Oh, that's great. That's great because and especially with such a strong album. I mean, you must have been really pleased with the reviews because I just I saw fantastic feedback everywhere.
Yeah. I of all the ones that I've read, I don't think there are. They're good, everyone. I think so. I haven't read them all, but very good. So I'm pleased and very happy about that, of course. But music is music. It's very important that you keep going on the best and do the best you can right now, because you never know what happens the next year or the year after. So.
Well,
we have to keep the Candlemass machine running.
Yeah, and prime example of you never know what's going to happen is exactly what's happening now. Which is obviously very strange and unprecedented. But have you stayed in touch with the world of metal whilst not being in Candlemass? Is it your kind of music, or are you do you have broader tastes?
Yeah, I'm definitely a metal guy. Absolutely, I really do love the metal that were done in the beginning of the 80s. Judas Priest, Black Sabbath, Rainbow, Scorpions. That's my kind of base. That's the time when I fell in love with heavy metal, but of course I like other kinds of music too. But I really love heavy guitars. I can tell that's a good song with good heavy guitars, and that's the thing for me.
Do you know what? I'm exactly the same. I was listening to the Better the Devil You Know, which was the band that was basically Black Sabbath but with Dio fronting them.
Yeah.
And they did one album, and I can't remember what it was called.
I can't recall
the title
that album for the moment. But,
yeah, me neither. But I was listening. I was listening on Shuffle a couple of days ago, and one of the songs from that came on, and I just heard it, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is so good." The guitar sound on it is awesome, and it's Tony Iommi playing, and then you've got Ronnie Dio over the top of it, and it was like, you know, I remember it, but it's from kind of like 2000, 2005, something like that. But it could have been from way back in the 80s, but it stirred something in me that reminded me of those old days.
Yeah. I've been playing with some younger, not young kids, because I'm pretty old right now, but younger people through the years. And when we have tried out playing, what do you say, guitar riffs in the way they did it in the 80s, and they're excellent musicians, but you know, some of they can't find the spirit of it. I don't know. You have we were born in it, but if you have to have your very special what do you say? Connection to it. You know, when you're young and wild and listening to metal, you were so dedicated, so you hear that very little difference if a guy knows what it's all about or if he don't. Do you know what I'm talking about? You know,
yes.
There are a lot of great musicians out there, but you can't, let's say a guy that he doesn't like metal, I'm pretty sure that I would be surprised if he could do some of the riffs in the very right way, but maybe someone can. But you need to. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but there is something about it.
Yeah, no, there is, and I think it is. The strange thing, I don't know anybody who's got into metal later in life. You know, for me, it's something like you get it and that's it. You're in it for good.
Yeah. It's something about, you know, hanging on the chords, maybe a little shorter or a little longer, or I don't know exactly what it is, but there is something about the way they played it in the 80s, and of course they are still playing it, and I really love it.
Yeah, and I it's kind of, it's been with me for so long now. You know, I mean, from such an early age. In fact, that's a question. If it's not too delicate a question, how old are you now?
I'm soon 57. I'm 57 this summer.
There's not that much different. There's not that much difference between us. I'm 49 at the moment. I'll be 50 in a couple of weeks actually.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll be joining you in the 50s. But
maybe have you got a big brother that was listening to it also, or no?
Well, it's funny you should say that. I had an elder sister, but she started hanging around with guys who were listening to metal. And so they started coming over the house. So that is kind of like, yeah, that's a very perceptive question, because it's. Do you know what? That's a really good point you're making there. Everybody can trace back through their musical history to that person who introduced metal into their life. You know what I mean? That person who first played you Black Sabbath, or first played you, you know, Rainbow or something like that. I think everybody has that person in their life.
I didn't hear you the last 30 seconds if you said something important. There was something cutting in the phone.
Ah, right, okay. No, I was just it was that last bit really. That is that who was the person in your life that introduced you to metal at an early age? Yeah.
Well, it was kind of myself and my friends. We were, young, and we found the Judas Priest, the Black Sabbath albums, and we were, joining together and just sat on our boy rooms and playing it, and then we started talking about being a band and things like that, the ordinary things.
Yeah.
But I have a brother, and he's 50 actually, and I think he got hooked of metal by listening to me when I was playing at my room when he was a kid, I think, because he got into heavy metal too in the end.
And that's your fault.
Yeah, that could be my fault.
Brilliant. So were you before you were in a band, were you doing any kind of singing? How did you kind of initially find out that you could sing?
No, I actually, we in Sweden, you start your music career with a kind of a flute. I don't know the name of that flute, but that never leads to something. And I did go to a teacher and playing that flute, whatever it was called, and but it didn't give me anything. And then I actually started playing piano, and for a while I actually had private lessons. So I started to play classical music on the piano when I was, 10, 11. But then my parents got divorced, and it all ended. And to be honest, that teacher, he was pretty boring, so I wouldn't have continued anyway. When you're at that age, girls and motorbikes and things like that started to twist my head, and then later on, when I was about 14, 15, we started up a band with my friends at school. So,
and so it is the classic tale of just. I mean, I'm again. I was exactly the same. That's a bunch of friends, all loved thrash metal, all went to school together, decided to form a band so we could play the music we loved. And that is kind of like, that's a story that millions of people recognise.
Yeah, I think so. Definitely. That's the way how it starts for everyone, I think, in the very beginning.
Yes, yeah. Well, look, it's been an absolute pleasure, Johan. It really has. If you can hang on there, I'm going to finish the main interview now, but I do have some listener questions. If you'd be happy to answer them.
Yeah, of course.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you very much. But for now, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Nice talking to you.
And to finish off there, Johan, what a lovely chat that was as well. And he did some really cool questions for patrons as well. Excuse me. That does remind me, if you would like to get involved with Talking Bollocks, if you'd like more from the podcast, you can get the podcast before everyone else if you sign up as a patron. But more importantly, you will get advance notice of who's coming on the show, and you'll be able to submit your questions to them and get your very own podcast each month. It's just for you, with yours and all the other patrons' questions on there. And believe you me, it's really cool. People there have got a chance to ask some pretty heavy-hitting metal gods, people like Max and stuff like that. Questions. So if you want to sign up, $5 a month. Patreon.com/Howard H. Smith. Go and have a look at that. See what you think. So, look, not a lot to do here. I have already spoken to you on the previous podcast, and I have also spoken to you at the front of this one. I've got to be honest, lockdown is certainly, recent experiences that I've already mentioned has really kind of tinged the whole lockdown experience, to be honest. But fucking hell, I shouldn't use this podcast as a vent for my life and my feelings, but do you know what? I live on my own. I'm over 200 miles from my nearest relative, and you're not going to have to do. Yep, that's right. I'm going to confess all. I'm not. But look, guys, I appreciate that this is not easy to get through, whether you're still working through it or not, if you're in lockdown, if you're on furlough, if you're working but restricted, whatever it is you're doing out there, absolutely, completely and totally feel for you. And, let's all just get through this, get out the other side. All right? Let's just all get through it. And let's hope for some cracking new music soon. I'm going to keep my eyes out and let you all know what's coming out as and when. I'm going to be all over it, I promise you. Just drop me a message, drop me a tweet, anything like that. Anybody you want on the podcast, especially female guests. Any female guests we'd like on the podcast, please let me know. Okay? It'd be really good to know. Guys, it's always a pleasure and it is never a chore, and it has always been great in your ears. But it's about that time where I have to go. Literally, I don't have to. I mean, I could sit here effectively for the rest of the day and just talk into this mic and it wouldn't make any difference. But hey, we need to give our lives some structure, and that's what I'm trying to do right now. Structure head here needs to go and get some lunch. It's 1:45. I'm fucking starving. There you go. That's what happens when you fucking lock down. Fucking piss battle pile of shit that it is. Fucking hell. Honestly, I keep my brain keeps saying, "Oh, let's go and do that." Oh no, I can't do that. What was the other one the other day? Oh, it might be a year until I have a proper haircut. Where the fuck does that come from? Who the fuck needs that in their head? And then people offering me stand-up gigs. Stand-up gigs. Yeah, online stand-up gigs. That is me dressed up as an old man in my front room shouting at a camera. That is not stand-up. No audience means no show. That's just my feelings on it. That's just the way I roll. Plenty of other comics are doing them and say they're enjoying them, and that's wonderful. I'm pleased for them. But live audience in a live room, it's got to happen. It's got to happen. And for when it's going to happen again, I don't know. I don't know, but it will. Surely it will. Surely it will. The new normal can't be that new, can it? It can't be that new. Or could it? Who knows? No one's got any answers. Fucking hell, Howard. You've just ended up talking about Corona again. I don't know why. I don't know why I fucking... look, planes. At least they're about. Honestly, I'm slightly on the Heathrow flight path here. And initially in lockdown, when the planes were stopped as well, it was fucking eerie around here. With no motorway noise. Not that I ever notice it, because it's miles away, but it's just a hum in the distance. No motorway noise. No aeroplane noise, and when there's no wind and everything drops and it's really still, it is just fucking... It's terrifying, I tell you. It really is. It's like some weird fucking horror film, that, except, there's no horror. Everybody's just walking around going, all right? It's pretty cool. I tell you what, else is pretty cool as well. I did an interview for Tower Records, or rather, I've done an interview for Tower Records, and I'm also doing an online interview with them for their Instagram account. So that'll be fun, and I'll actually have done it by the time you hear this. So I'll tell you what, why don't I just shut the fuck up? I'm clearly losing it. Guys, it's an absolute pleasure. It's never a chore. Please spread the word. Please let everybody know Talking Bollocks is a half-decent podcast, and that way get some more patrons, make some more money, and maybe one day I'll actually be able to pay my bills. All the best to you all. Thanks for listening all the way to the end, and more content coming probably sooner than you think. The next piece of content I'm thinking of releasing, boy, you are all going to enjoy this one. But anyway, that's enough teasing. Stay safe. Speak to you next time.